Hey, David, if there were a mandatory gun buyback in the United States, could it really work? Would people really participate? Very complicated question. So let's first just make sure we're on the same page. If you mean, could the United States say all guns must be turned in and we will buy them off of you? You don't get that if you don't repeal the Second Amendment. I spent some time reading about this. I don't see any way that there could be a nationwide, overarching umbrella mandatory gun buyback without changing the fact that people do have a right to own firearms as confirmed by the Supreme Court. Now, if you want to look at something different, like, for example, a certain type of firearm has been banned, and if you have one, you have to turn it in. You will have a higher success rate with that, both legally and in terms of getting societal participation. But I don't see how in a country with a Second Amendment, you can do a mandatory gun buyback. So my first question would be, how do you address the Second Amendment? You have to dismantle that right, which the Supreme Court precedent supports in order to do it. If you could do it, okay, cost really is an issue. I mean, we have 300 million firearms is it 300 or 350 million firearms floating around in the United States. This is why when we talk about, well, demilitarize the police, yes. Police with no guns. In the U.S., it's tougher because so many people have guns. In countries where fewer citizens have guns, sure. I think that's an obstacle here. So then what is the cost because of the number of guns that are floating around? Could be hundreds of billions of dollars. It could be high hundreds of billions of dollars, depending on how it would be structured. I know that the government can just, it's not even print, it's digitally create money. But I see that as very tough politically to imagine. And then if you could get through the legal and the financial, the truth is that some other much less aggressive acts haven't been super successful. I looked at the New York SAFE Act, and it was based on assault weapons of the million that are registered in the state. I believe only 45,000 assault weapons were turned in. That's very, very low compliance. Now, there are places that have been able to do this. The UK, New Zealand, Australia. They have smaller populations, fewer guns floating around, national gun registries. So by and large, the country knows where a lot of those guns are. And they don't have anything in their constitution that has deemed gun ownership a right. These are laws, and the laws can be changed. They had a lot of success there. The problem I have believing this would be feasible as an immediate next step in the United States, as some have suggested, is that the genie is out of the bottle in terms of the Second Amendment, in terms of the number of guns that are out in circulation. So I think if this is your priority, and I believe that there is lower hanging fruit that we should be looking at first, to create a better infrastructure where then we could maybe start getting some guns off of the street. But if you want to go first to a gun buyback, you first have to deal with the Second Amendment. You secondly have to deal with the financial piece. And third, how do you enforce it? The law enforcement would not be able to enforce it in even a few years, given the number of guns that are out there. What exactly would be the plan? I'm not being defeatist. I'm just being a realist. And I would love for you to tell me where I'm wrong on this.